Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, John Kibler, Head Currency Analyst. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Forex market wrap. We're going to be identifying some things that have happened this week. And really the main thing is that the dollar has started to fall, and we spoke about the potential for this to happen if we were to get some significant breakout of this channel. And we have started to see that form now. And if we look at the weekly time frame, this was the area of interest for us because of this previous selling pressure in here, and it looks like that we're starting to see that again. And if this market does close as bearish as is, then I would expect some further downside to this market and maybe some lower highs to come into play and a move back down. But it looks to me that now that we could see a move all the way back down into this previous area where the market has found some structure and some resistance in the past. So really speaking, this dollar bearish close is something that we need to take note of and have a little look at going into next week, because we could see some continuations of this move. With that, we looked at the potential for euro to move higher. We talked about the breakout in here as well, and that we can look for some further upside. Again, this coincides really nicely with that, and if we look at this weekly time frame, to me that strong bullish close does suggest that we could see some further upside. Whether we get back up to these highs, I'm not quite certain on that. I think maybe we could just come back up into sort of this previous area here, which coincides with that dollar index, maybe around about sort of 119, or even maybe if we just maybe 1.2 could be an interesting area for price to come back into on euro dollar, because we've seen some resistance and support there in the past. So that could be the area that price could come and retest. As you know, if we check out this weekly time frame, really we're trading between these sort of two areas here, and that's kind of a midpoint of this sort of range that's going on here on euro. So likely to see some upside here, but after a bit of a retracement move, perhaps up to that 1.2. Pound was something we looked at this week for long opportunities off of a breakout of the weekly high. What we liked about this on the weekly time frame was the fact that we had this kind of head and shoulders pattern forming, and the fact that price had failed to close below these previous lows was something that made me want to look at buying pound this week. Forced breakouts are really great things to look for on higher time frames, because they can really show us the potential for the market to sort of flip and reverse. One thing that we looked at was, like I said, the break and retest of last week's high, and that played out pretty perfectly, because this is last week's high in here. Price came back into it. We've formed a false breakout pattern of the level where we had a close below and then a close back above, and the market has moved higher pretty much ever since. So again, looking like it's going to be a nice strong weekly close here for pound. We are coming to the end of the month, so we could see some erratic moves coming in towards the sort of last couple of trading days of the month, but yeah, essentially I think that we're going to see some more upside. Just need to wait for some kind of retracements on these markets now, because look how far we've gone on these this week. You know, just waiting for a bit of a pullback and maybe a continuation. Pound could head all the way back up into this sort of area here, because there was a lot of buying and selling going on at this point. So that would be interesting to see if we could get maybe back up into this sort of area there on an overall sort of longer term move. Finally, we checked out Aussie. I expected a bit more out of Aussie, but you know, we're starting to see kind of like low ranging candles. So you know, if we were to close like this, I still think that we could see a pullback, maybe into these weekly lows at 7476. What we were really focusing on was whether we could actually just get back up into these structure lows in here. Now we have actually retested those. We were looking for some long positions. We took an original long position actually down in there, so if you actually held on to that one did come through quite nicely, but also looked at some further long positions through here. We haven't quite seen that momentum yet. Stock markets have dropped, maybe putting a bit of pressure on the Australian dollar, so maybe we could still see this drop to the downside, but I would like to see it rally up towards this 74.76, but we'll have to see what happens next week. Really hope you enjoyed the content this week. If you did, leave this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hit that notification bell to be alerted when we post the next video, which will be the week ahead analysis. Have a great weekend. Speak to you soon.